Okay, great. Okay, welcome everyone to K-Mack's Football Chat. I've got John back on. It's been too long, really, about 2 weeks on it. So much has happened as well.
Mental.
Like, so much has happened, it's insane. So I wanted to go through a couple of things tonight. Basically, the fact that we're back in the top four as a chance, which is insane. So 6 on the bounce. Laugh at United.
I'm going to laugh more if they start dropping more points. At the moment, they can't seem to buy a win at the moment. But it's United, right?
They can't score. They can't score, and they can't seem to keep a clean sheet as well, which always helps.
Yeah.
And hopefully the Rashford, just relying on Rashford all the time, is kind of burnt out now, maybe.
I think that, and the fact I think Bruno's been a little bit exposed. He's just again jumping around everywhere, diving all over the show, and I don't think he's getting that attention the referees were giving him at the beginning of the season. They were kind of giving him the fouls and the rest of it. And I think they've got a little bit wise to it, thankfully. Not like I say too much about refs being on our side too much at the moment, but
somehow I have no idea how they haven't sent off Casemiro about 5 times in the last 5 games, because he's like 5 yellow cards every game at the moment. Crazy.
A bit like Fabinho was playing about 2 months ago.
He is literally doing that.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyway, so I'm not going to start off with that question about the top 4, but what I will talk about is what do you think of Liverpool then? So, any people you kind of pick out, anything that we've done differently, apart from obviously playing Trent as the inverted V, inverted left back, right back, or whatever he is.
I think that's a massive shout. Like I say, we had that conversation on the last chat, and I think I said at the time, my personal view is I don't think we need to go balls in and just invest in 3 or 4 midfielders on the basis that we've got some youth coming through. Need to get Trent in there on a permanent basis. That's the only thing that worries me. He tends to be covering those 2 positions, and I'd say 4 weeks ago, people were questioning whether or not he's a decent enough right back to be playing the job, doing that role. And now all of a sudden, he's good enough to be our right back and our centre midfielder. And that's what concerns me, that at some point we're going to start getting exposed in that area. But I say when we line up, we're literally playing a back 3. So although he's dropping in there and doing his bit in there, 9 times out of 10, we've also got one of our sort of defensive buddies sort of sitting back there, whether it's sort of Konate playing out wide or what. So it's I guess we're playing to our strengths, which we mentioned a little on that chat the other week. Why not? If you're looking to play that way where your wing back sort of bomb on and your centre back split and your defensive midfielder drops to create a back 3, why piss around? Play a back 3 and.
I feel like we're playing a back 2 at the moment.
At times,
Konate's under so much bombardment from everyone at the moment, and it's weird as well because our Achilles heel at the start of the season, probably the reason why we've not done as well this season, is everybody went down the Trent side because that was the weak link, and now they're doing it again.
Yeah.
But we've got a better midfield. Oh, someone waving in the background, and your little boy was there waving.
Oh, that's my son getting in from. Yeah, he had to be back before dark, and I don't think he's made it. But he's at least he's back, right?
That's a good thing.
he's this little one in the picture here, so big Liverpool fan as well. I can't even. This one.
Yeah. So, I think you showed. How long have you had that? Did you have that? Did you have that a couple of years ago? Did you?
Yeah. The wife. This is the one picture I'm allowed in here that the wife's allowed me to have.
He's in the blinds behind you.
He's in the blinds. Oh, there he is. Yeah, spooky little thing, isn't he? Yeah. He's asking if he can come in. It's like I'm going to leave him out there for the night.
Fine.
No, you can say hello to Chris, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
So, but yeah, obviously, the Trent bit's been an absolute revelation. And I think by having him in there as well and having those legs in there and doing that work and a lot of focus then being put on Trent in the middle, it's then allowed, like Fabinho. Fabinho, all of a sudden, he's been a different player. There's pressure off him to literally try and do everything in that middle, and I think that was the problem. He was trying to do too much at times, and then actually sort of resulted in him not doing anything apart from, like we said a minute ago, just pushing people around and borderline getting sent off. And I think that was, again, too much pressure on him as an individual. But I think, like I say, moving Trent up into midfield, along with him and Henderson and whoever else has been in there, it's been a massive change. Even, like I say, the whole balance of the team. Even Van Dijk seems to look like he's been able to defend again. The amount of chances Trent's creating through that middle is just.
Well, he's on 8 assists this season now, and I think he's got 5 in the last 6 games.
Yeah,
which is just like that's like Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, it's above him. It's double De Bruyne's stats.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at De Bruyne. I think what's he got? 15 assists maybe for the season.
16 this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at that. I mean, if Trent's done 8 or 6 over 8 games, whatever, if he continues on that sort of basis, I mean, he could get double figure assists easy.
Yeah, he could honestly.
And
I mean, if a couple of teams are on the beach, which hopefully they are for the end of the season,
yeah,
I think we've got like Southampton last game. I mean, that could be. Who knows what score that could be if they're on the beach and already? They're already relegated anyway.
Yeah.
I think Everton needs to get like 1 point.
Yeah,
for them to be relegated. And
it's one of those shit things. It's like with Everton, it's one of that bittersweet because you'd love to see them go down.
I don't want to see them go down because
I don't want to go and see down. But at the same time, having that local rivalry, it's what I mean. That's what football's about having that derby, and you take that out of that's probably the biggest derby.
Yeah,
in the Prem.
It's the oldest. I think it's the oldest, isn't it? It's like over 100 years, isn't it?
It's got to be. Obviously, you got some of the London clubs, but I say I don't
think Everton have ever been in a low division.
No, they've never been out of that top flight.
And I think we were out of it like back in the 60s or 50s, maybe even the 40s. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't even looked at that. Like those stats are probably insane.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you got a proper mullet going on. A bit like Barry Venison there. Look at that.
Yeah. I'm going for status quo.
Status quo, yeah. Rick Parfitt.
But yeah, so like obviously, like I think Virgil's probably had the best 3 games all season, back to back. Like I thought the game against did we play Fulham? Was it Fulham the last game we won? I can't remember now.
Last game, Brentford.
Brentford, yeah. I thought Brentford was the best game he's had this season. Like, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I also thought
the thing that got me on that one, the thing that got me on that Brentford game, I think it was there was at one point, I can't remember, it went down the left-hand side and the ball got crossed straight through the middle, and it was a little pinpoint pass. It was just out of Alisson's reach, and it was going back post and literally a little tap in, 2-yard tap in, and it was like old school Van Dijk. Slides in, clearance.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, like I say, the last sort of 6 months or so, he's just not been. He just doesn't look to have been at the races. We've had that conversation before, and I'm a firm believer in the fact that I don't see how we've played as badly as we have as a collective. I can understand when 2 or 3 players might get to a certain age and the legs start going and yada, yada, yada. But literally since Christmas, it's been the whole team. It doesn't matter who we play, in what position. It just hasn't worked. But then all of a sudden, we started having a couple of we've had that obviously position change for Trent.
Little tweak.
That tiny little tweak. Position change for Trent, a little bit of a change in formation. Jota's come back and has obviously notched a few goals. Obviously, Gakpo's found a bit of form as well, and he's waded in with a few. Diaz obviously back.
You know what I'm going to say?
What's that?
There's a common denominator between our recent form, where we started to play well, and the fact that we were shit and we were shit. Like, we were really shit. Like I was turning games off. We were that bad. I wasn't watching games. Like I was literally watching another match while our game was on, because we were just so bad.
Yeah. And
it boils down for me to two players. And you know who I'm going to say. Who's the first one? And it's not his fault, by the way. He's been put into midfield and he's not a midfielder. Harvey Elliott.
Yeah.
Elliott's the first one. Elliott got taken out the team, and he got replaced by Jones.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel for Elliott, because
I feel for Elliott. Elliott needs to be sold, by the way. Like,
no. His
career at Liverpool, because he ain't going to get in front of Salah, and he ain't got the pace to play on the wing, and he ain't got the mental capacity to be that midfielder or the pace. He's not fast. He's really, really slow.
Thing is with Elliott is obviously he's still very young, and even though I tend to agree with you to a certain extent with him being in the midfield and whatever, and maybe that wasn't the right position for him, but in a lot of those games, he was the only one that tended to have the work rate, and the only one that looked like he was actually could affect the game in any way.
But the work rate didn't amount to anything, because.
But again, I
think
that's
win his duels. So he didn't win any duels. He didn't win any headers. He doesn't win any tackles. He doesn't win any tackles.
He's not that combative midfielder, is he? That's not his job to be in there doing that. He is an out-and-out winger.
But what I feel has happened.
We don't play with wingers.
But what I feel has happened is he's took two players out the team. I'm sorry, I'm going to say Nunes. All right, you knew I was going to say Nunes anyway. So he took two players out of the team. He took Nunes, Captain Chaos, and he took slow coach Elliott out of the team and replaced them with Jones and Gakpo and Jota to a certain extent.
Mate, you know me. Like I've said for years.
And the midfield.
I love
but you've got to hear me out. But the midfield has gone back to the way the midfield used to be.
Yeah. But the problem is, I think
the creativity. Fuck the creativity, because the creativity does not work. We tried the creativity.
Well, you've got that with Trent in there, to be fair, haven't you? Now
we tried the creativity experiment, and we've gone, well, no, but he's not in midfield. He's still a right back.
But he's dropping into midfield.
Yeah, I know, but he is still a right back.
But the creative bit is working, but it's coming
by
from
a player that's not in midfield. So we basically put. The weird thing about it is, and this is weird, and I can't get my head around it either, is we complained that we didn't have enough in the defence, to actually defend, but now we've got less in defence, and we look stronger at the back.
But I think that's because we've got more going forward. I think that's honestly because we've got more going forward, and we're like they say, isn't it? That the best way to defend is to attack.
But the West Ham, Fulham, and Brentford game, we got battered for a lot of the game. Like we took a lot of.
I think the problem is
a lot of long balls, a lot of crosses, a lot of set pieces. I mean, for God's sake, we need to stop giving away set pieces.
Yeah,
like, bloody hell! Like, that's so annoying. Now we just keep on. We're too honest. Like we're too honest. We need to start falling over more. Because that's all the opposition does against us. They get a nudge and they're like, ugh.
I think that's the intensity of our game, though, isn't it? Like I say, it's not think about falling down; it's think about what you're going to do next.
Yeah, play for the percentages, especially when you've got Robbo and Trent crossing in. Like you got Robbo and Trent on your set pieces. Like my God, I think Robbo's got like 4 assists in the last couple of games off set pieces.
Yeah,
like
But again, I think the problem with their stats to a certain extent have been masked or affected by that spell, I say after Christmas until probably, like I say, 6 games ago, where we were just struggling to get the ball in the back of the net.
Exactly. Big up Stefano. Sorry. Yeah, go
on. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, for me,
do you think he changes it next season? Do you think it goes back to normal? Do you think Trent goes back to right back?
No.
Or he goes into midfield?
Mate, I've said it to you. I've said it to all my mates.
You've been banging on that drum since like
Trent has never been a right back. Trent isn't a right back. Never has been.
You've been banging on that drum since Trent came into the team. You were like, he's not a right back. He's
not a right back. Never has been. He's never been in the Liverpool team to defend. So that's when everyone turns around and says, "Oh, defensively he's being found out." No, he's not a defensive right back. He's been in our team because of the way we played and the fact that our right backs and our left back bomb forward and they're attacking, and then they leave the defenders and the defensive midfield to do the job of defending. I think the problem this year is there's been so much hype and there's been so much emphasis on the fact that Trent can't do it, that I think that's affected him mentally. And regardless of, I think some of these guys try to say they stay off of social media, they don't read the news, they don't do this, they don't do that. I get that, but then they all go and have to do their bit with the media. And then when the media start asking them questions with regards to, your defensive abilities are being questioned at the moment, well, what are your thoughts? Or they ask Jurgen Klopp what they thought. And it's just, that's going to affect players. And I think the fact that I think it was Gerrard in his book, 8 years ago, named Trent, I think he was 11 or 12 years old.
As a successor.
As basically the future of Liverpool Football Club. He came up all through the youth career playing centre midfield, got his pro contract off the basis of playing centre midfield, and went into right back just because Nathaniel Clyne was injured. And he's gone in there, he's done an amazing job. But I think the problem being he's got that little bit bigger, he's got that little bit bulkier, and he's not able to turn as quick as he would have done when he was a kid, which would allow him to make those recoveries and win the ball over again and again. And now he's getting that bigger. I don't think, like I say, he's become that combative midfielder now.
He's never been a flying. He's never been a flying wing back. He's never been a flying wing back. That's never been his game. He's not like a Gareth Bale was, where he could just speed past people. He's never been. No,
yes and no. I mean, it's like I read something today, and they were talking about.
Get your comments in, by the way, guys. If you're tuning in, get your comments in if you want. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I read something today and they were talking about Trent's role moving forward and the fact that Thiago's now out again till the end of the season. I
think that could be it for Thiago, by the way. Barcelona are looking at him now, and he's 33 and he plays less.
Is he 33? I thought he was still 31. I thought he just turned 31.
Sorry, 31. Sorry, 31. But he plays less than 50% of his games every season.
The thing is with Thiago, and I picked my son up from the airport this week, and it was my eldest son, stepson. That's why he's a United fan. So he's a United fan. His 2 friends in the back. One was Chelsea. I can't remember who the other one was, but they were sitting there and they were talking about Thiago and how bad he is, and the fact that he never plays and blah blah blah. And
he's not bad.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Technically, I think Thiago is probably, and again, guys, comment away if you like. I think technically Thiago is head and shoulders above, I'd say, probably any of our players, technically. Yeah. The problem being, the work rate that he's got doesn't complement it. Now,
It's
the other thing is as well,
it's the
when
tactics
he,
don't suit Thiago to his full capability, to his full abilities.
But the thing is with Thiago as well, Thiago can do, I don't know, 9 out of 10 things will be absolutely amazing. They'll be ridiculous. There's no look passes and the little curl balls, and it's just effortless.
Hang on, mate. I've just got to get the dog. 2 secs.
That's cool. Fuck me, it's all in the trophy room.
Come here.
Guys, what are you thinking about Thiago?
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. No, I just saying, like I say, technically, I think he's probably head and shoulders above any of our players. When you see the warm ups, you see the way they're pinging the ball around in training, his first touch, the no look passes, and it's not like the old Bobby 5-yard tap in no looks. It's literally looking right and pinging a ball 40 yards left. It's ridiculous. But the problem being, 9 times out of 10, that pass will work. That 10th time is fucking horrendous. And next thing you know, we're under pressure because he's fucked up by trying to do something that's too complicated. Which I say, when it comes off, it looks absolutely amazing. But then the problem with I think with him and ourselves and the Premier League to a certain extent, it's too fast paced for him. I don't think he's then got the ability to do the track back bit and the and that work rate. I just don't think is there for him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, what is he? He must be. I think he's about 5'8", 5'9". And you rarely ever see him like lose an aerial challenge. The guy's ridiculous.
He's surprisingly good in the air, isn't he?
He's ridiculous in the air. I used to play with a lad. Probably. Don't get me wrong. He was no Thiago, but again, this guy Scott Ball. He's probably 5'6", 5'7". And again, used to win everything. You sit there and you go, how? I don't understand it. But like I say, again, you see Thiago and he's got that ability, the leap and that control. He just seems to hang in the air for a ridiculous amount of time.
Well, the thing about it as well with Thiago is like he shouldn't be doing that. That's not his job. Like he shouldn't be getting played like David Batty for half the season. And that's the reason why he's injured. Like he's not that combative midfielder that should be tracking back and winning tackles.
Like I say, he can do it. He can. The thing is with him, like I say, he can pass, he can tackle, he can win the ball in the air. He can do it all, but I just don't think the work rate's there.
But he's also.
I say when you've got someone like Curtis Jones that can do all that as well,
exactly.
But he's got that passion.
But he's also break glass, mate. Like. You know, he can break. Like,
but the thing is, again,
the injury that puts him out for months and months and months, and he's got it again now.
But that's the thing. Again, I think does that come down to bad luck? I mean, you look at his previous.
No, that comes down to being played too much.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Too much. Again, and in the wrong place as well, like in the wrong position. You shouldn't be doing the combative midfield stuff. He shouldn't be the guy in midfield that's winning all the duels. No. That's supposed to be a Fabinho, or a Jones, or a Henderson if he ever wins any tackles.
But again, but if he's in there and he's in a position where he's got to make the tackle and he's got to win the header, and he can do it. But like I say, I just think again when you look at Thiago, before he came to us, he was actually a regular for everybody he's ever played for.
Yeah. Put your comments in the chat, by the way. If anyone's in, put your comments in the chat. Good. Yeah, sorry, go on. That's
right. Obviously, when he joined us straight away, he got Corona, didn't he? And he got nailed by, was it Richarlison?
Yeah.
In that Everton game with when Virgil got taken out.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, and he got nailed in that, and that kept him out for a while. Got Corona, that kept him out for a while. And I don't.
And then he got hammered. He got hammered like constantly, and he was playing. Yeah. He was playing like a DM at one stage.
Yeah.
And then
I think again
then he got the abductor, and then he got brought back too soon, and then he got the abductor again.
Yeah, I think that's been our problem for a lot of this season. I think we've had so many injuries. I saw some stat a little while ago, and it said something like we've had players have
talking
missed
about Thiago, Stefano, talking about Thiago.
Yeah, they were talking about how many days players have missed for Liverpool due to injury, and it was nearly 2,000 days in total.
Crazy.
And I think that's been half our problem this year. But with regards to our squad, it's like we've had to delve into our squad on the basis we've had injuries, but then I think we've ended up having to play, like you said about this red line scenario. And I think the problem being we've had to play players that are, to a certain extent, 75% fit. And I don't think that works.
I don't know. I mean, it's an excuse. It's an excuse that we can keep on using. But what's that? Darlington fan. Oh, blimey. God, you've been through the mud, haven't you, mate? Could be worse. Could be an Everton fan.
Big up Darlington.
Yeah, big up Darlington. Yeah, I mean, it's an excuse that keeps on getting used about oh, you know, we have to play these players because they keep on getting injured. But we don't. Like, we need to play squad players. Like he doesn't trust the players outside the 14, really. Like, I mean, you can turn around and go, oh yeah, Diaz was injured, Jota was injured. Yeah, that's really bad. But then he could have played Elliott. He could have moved Salah in the middle. He could have had Nunez on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
He could have played Gakpo on the left-hand side. For some reason, he hasn't. He could have even played Carvalho if he wanted.
Thing is,
or he could have played Jones. Jones has been fit all season. He could have played Naby. He could have played Ox. Like, you know,
nobody's playing Naby.
No, I know.
No, mate, I don't care.
No, I'm not even
nobody's
playing
playing Naby.
Okay.
I'd prefer, for me, at 44 and 4 stone overweight, to go into centre midfield rather than play Naby.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not having that.
But
I've seen Naby Keita have one good game, and I think that one good game is masked by the fact he scored that banger from outside the box. And I think that's the only thing that's convinced me that game was any good, because he scored that one good goal. I've never seen a good game. I think it was last season. It was like a
winner as well. That was a winner, that goal as well. That really helped us, like, towards getting close to the quad. Yeah. Anyway, and enough about him. That's an experiment that failed. Like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. But again, like I say, I'm a big fan of Ox. I don't see why he hasn't got more games.
I don't quite understand the Oxlade-Chamberlain, like, why he didn't play in midfield more. I don't really get that. Like, he bought Thiago and Ox just got binned. It was weird.
Well, again, Ox has been against. You see some of these forums where they go on about binning him off.
He's not really had a bad game. I've not really seen him have a bad game. Like, he doesn't give the ball away. He tries really hard. He's the only bloody midfielder that shoots. Well, obviously we've got Jones now.
Yeah, the only problem I feel with Ox is that when he first came to us, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Got nailed in that Roma game, done his ACL, and then he struggled for fitness since.
England as well.
And England, like I say, he was starting for England week in, week out. He was supposed to go to the World Cup that year, and he was brilliant. Like I say, you can't fault him. The only thing
I was really happy with that signing. Were you?
What's that?
I was really happy with him signing.
Ox, love the guy. I thought he was brilliant.
I was really happy with that. I thought that was a good sign. It was like 34 million money or something.
Yeah, the thing that got me as well about that is the fact that, again, when you look back, everyone sort of this is the thing I was going to say. Everyone's saying about him being stealing a living, absolutely robbing Liverpool blind, blah blah blah. And you got to remember, when he signed for us, I think he signed a contract on 120 grand a week, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot of money. But he was at the time being offered 180 grand to stay at Arsenal and 180 grand to go to Chelsea. And he still chose to.
He was elite level. He was like in the England team all the time. He was scoring goals.
Back then, you probably would have said that Chelsea probably would have been on par with us at the time in terms of a move. And I say the fact he chose to.
Was that when they had Torres? Was that the same season they had Torres? Because it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think
he had 5 seasons. I think this is the end of his.
Was it Benitez that was there when they tried to sign him? That would have been weird.
Yeah. But no, like I said, I just feel
yeah.
for the guy. I really feel for the guy because I think when he does come in, I think he puts himself under too much pressure. And the only thing is, I think, is that he tries too hard when he plays. It's like I've said to you before, last season when we were when all the players went off for the AFCON, and we had to play him. He started, I think, 4 or 5 games, and he was brilliant. He was probably our best player.
I think he scored like 2 goals, didn't he? He scored like 2 goals. I think he scored like 2 goals in those games.
Yeah, but again, he was playing in midfield. He looked relaxed.
We threw him on the left as well, didn't we?
Yeah, but I think he knew that he was going to be playing the next game. He seemed relaxed. He was able to play a bit of football, and he just settled into his position. And that's why I say I hope the guy that I say I don't know where he's going to end up next season, but I hope he goes off, does his thing. Okay, cool.
But that's the thing as well. When we talk about, we've had injuries. We've always had Ox.
Yeah.
He was available last season. He's been available this season. Everyone seems to think he's injured all the time. He's not been injured that much in the last couple of years. He really hasn't.
No, he came back, didn't he? And he got injured in pre-season last year and then started this season injured. And the problem with him, I think, he needs to go to someone like maybe Brighton, West Ham. That maybe kind of level. Bournemouth. There's going to be a mid-table. He'll get game time every week, and I think that's what he needs. He needs regular game time.
Well for Burnley, actually,
What's that? Oh, Burnley, yeah, that's not a bad shout.
He did well for Burnley.
Yeah, but he needs that regular game time.
I think he'll get a Prem club though. I think he'll get another Premier League club. He's like 28, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's not even 30. He's like 28, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, so we always have a chat about Ox anyway. So how do you think Jones has been then?
Mate, massive fan of his, always have been. When you watch him
I love Curtis Jones.
I've watched him in pre-season for the last probably 3-4 years as a kid, as he's been coming up and through. And probably longer than that, to be fair. It was pre-COVID. I think he was like 18, 19-year-old when you first sort of see him come through.
18 he broke in.
Yeah, and he was a kid playing out. I think we played a couple of games out in the States, and he was brilliant then. And you see him come up through the ranks, absolutely brilliant. And you start questioning why is he not getting game time? And then, like I said in that last chat, I seriously do. I do think it comes down to that bit with it was Ben Foster. I think it was done his podcast or done his chat.
About the contracts. And
they said there's those contracts that if these players are fit, then they will play regardless of fitness, regardless of, not fitness, but regardless of form, regardless of history. They're playing.
I want to have a talk to you about like director of football and that kind of stuff later. But yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. But yeah. Jones, Elliott out, Jones in, and Núñez out, Gakpo or Jota in, is the reason why we could probably sneak into top 4. I actually think, and this, I'm not going to put my house on it, I actually think it could be Brighton and Liverpool in the top 4. I look at the games, mate. There's so much bad blood in those games. Man United need to lose 1 game. Newcastle need to lose 1 game.
Yeah.
And if we win all our games and Brighton win all their games, because they've still got 2 games in hand, we could both sneak in. And they haven't done it before. Like, I don't see anyone in the Newcastle team really that has got the mental capacity and the nous to deal with the last couple of games, because it's so hard to get yourself up to challenge like that, especially when all you're playing are teams that are either in relegation zone or have got a point to prove. They've both got Chelsea. And Chelsea.
Mate, I was just having a look at it. Brighton.
I mean, Chelsea have got players that are playing for their careers. Never mind playing for like where they're going to land in the league. They're playing for their careers at Chelsea.
The only thing, Brighton have got a massive say on what
Big
happens on the league
and so are Villa. So look at Villa as well.
Yeah, but let's say I think Villa, I think they'll just drop off.
Villa have got Newcastle and Man United and us.
But the thing is, I say Brighton, their next game is Arsenal. The game is away to Arsenal. Then their game after that is away to Newcastle. Then they're at home to Southampton. Then they're at home to Man City. Then away to Aston Villa.
I know.
That's a horrible run-in.
It's a horrible run-in.
They could do one or two things.
Really well. They play really well against the big teams.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could do one or two things. They could potentially take points off of Arsenal, Newcastle, or City, and obviously do themselves a favour. And by taking points off, obviously Newcastle do us a favour.
Yeah. And leapfrog and Villa.
Or they get all I say they have some sort of results against Arsenal and City, and all of a sudden they're who knows where the league's going to go.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I do, Stefano. If you follow me on Instagram, you can check out my my profile on there. I'm a music producer as well. Just letting you know. Isn't it crazy though? I mean, I genuinely thought this season would be a shit season ender, but it could end up being one of the best there's ever been, like in such a long time.
This was a conversation.
Arsenal, Man United, you got Arsenal, Man City going head to head, and then you've got Tottenham, Brighton, Newcastle, Man United, and Liverpool, all with a chance of getting top four.
Yeah, this is what I was saying to my son and his mates on the way back from Heathrow the other day. It's that again, as United fans, they'd written us off. And I sort of said, we're winding him up, saying, we're hunting you down now and all the rest of it.
If anyone's got any questions, put them in the comments, by the way. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
How do I say it? I don't want to go jinxing it. I don't want to go shooting us in the foot by saying anything more than what we should with regards to Liverpool and what's going to happen moving forward. But he was on the old bandwagon of the Rio Ferdinand. We're back. Man United are back. I say it's Ten Hag's first season. Look where we are, challenging. We've got.
They've got no identity. Like I don't even know what kind of football they play. You watch them and you're like,
this is what I'm trying to say to
Rashford.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say to him the other day. I said it's a bit smash and grab.
Rashford's got like 17 goals, and then the player before that's got like 5.
5, yeah.
I mean that's just that.
But it says a lot when you got like
the crazy thing about it. I've seen this stat, okay, and think of it what you want, okay, but I've seen this stat, and if a team gets plus 30 in goal difference, in the Premier League, they get Champions League. It's only ever happened once when a team didn't, and that was I think it was Arsenal like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah,
but it happens in every league in Europe. By the way, it's not just the Premier League. It happens in every league. If you get a plus 30 goal difference, you get top 4, and we're on plus 26.
Yeah, I've got plus 25 here, but
plus 25 with 3 games to go.
Yeah,
it could be done.
They're on plus 8.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely don't see an identity, and I also what I mean. What are they going to do next season? Okay, so they've got, what games have they got? They've got Wolves.
Some of that.
Wolves have started to play well, by the way. Wolves are starting to do well. Like starting to win games. They've got a really good manager, and he's kind of worked out how to get them more solid. They've got
3 games at home though. That's the only thing.
They've got Fulham with Mitrovic back.
Yeah, and that's last game of the season.
And that is angry. That's a bad blood game. And Fulham haven't given up because they just smashed someone 5-3.
Yeah.
And they've got they're playing their fringe players who are playing for their careers.
Yeah.
And they're smashing goals in.
And
so I don't think Fulham are going to be out of it.
Yeah, they got Wolves next, and they got Bournemouth away.
Bournemouth isn't going to be easy.
No.
Bournemouth's not going to be easy.
And then they host Chelsea at Old Trafford.
Mate, Frank Lampard. I was gonna say this later on. Frank Lampard has got a huge say on what happens this season.
Yeah,
a couple of teams.
Chelsea. Their last game is Newcastle.
I know.
And then the game before that is Man United.
And they got Man United, and they got Man City.
Yeah. Thing is, again,
I wouldn't put it past Lampard to win all those games.
Even if he takes a draw, even if he plays for a draw, I'd drive to bloody
take that all day long.
Yeah, Stamford Bridge, and I would shake the guy's hand.
I'll never call him Fat Frank again.
Yeah, but the thing is, I was only saying the other day, if it hadn't been for that win at the weekend, for Chelsea, yeah, if it hadn't been for that win at the weekend,
Brighton, what that last minute penalty?
Yeah. But again, if they hadn't won, they got that win at the weekend. With having United, Newcastle.
Oh, you mean Chelsea? Yeah.
Sorry, Chelsea.
I said on my last show, Chelsea could go down.
They could be relegated.
They could have been relegated.
Yeah,
but they got that win.
300 million or whatever it was, and relegated.
600 in two transfer windows.
Oh, 2 transfer. Yeah. Sorry, I was in January. But yeah. That amount of money and get relegated, and
what would happen there though? I was speaking about this in my last podcast. What would happen there though? If you took a team down with all of those new players on those mad contracts, they wouldn't have anything in their contract that said something about relegation, because they'd never ever think that. Oh, I'm going to put something in my contract just in case you get relegated that you can release me.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be in their contracts. So they'd be playing in the Championship. They'd have the world record signing in the Premier League in the Championship.
Mental, isn't it? Anything though, I don't know how that would work with regards to financial fair play, because I don't know how that would work with regards to financial fair play, playing those players on those wages. I don't know, in the Championship, I just don't know how that works.
No, I don't know how that would work. I also had this conversation as well about teams that get promoted to the Premier League. You would think there'd be some kind of cap where you have to have a stadium that can have 30,000. Otherwise, what are you really bringing to the Premier League?
I thought there was.
Yeah. Well, if you look at some of the teams that might come up, Luton could come up. Haven't they got a 12,000 seat stadium or something like?
I don't know. I know. I'm sure there was a thing with regards to stadiums, because obviously being from Reading, when Reading
went up, Newcastle. If Sunderland get promoted, I'm rioting. Mate, if Sunderland get promoted, I'm driving Henderson to the Stadium of Light.
Mate, you got to stop with the Henderson hating. Henderson is our only leader.
Mate, have you seen the interview he did on LFC TV?
No.
Oh my god, mate. Okay, I'm not going to play it because I've already seen it. I'm not going to play it in case I get copywritten or anything. But he's talking about playing at an older age, and the person was saying to him, so how do you feel right now? How's your body feeling? You're playing more games. And he goes, I played 46 times this season. He's played 46 times this season. I didn't even know that.
I think that comes into England as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he said, I played 46 times this season. I'm obviously getting older. He goes, but with that extra 1% where I have a bit more rest and we're playing less games and all of this stuff. He goes, then, I might be able to play a bit longer. If you look at other players like myself, like Modric and Benzema, I was like, did you just really compare yourself to Modric and Benzema, that they can play to a later age? I was just like that.
Thing is, though, no. Benzema, it's only Benzema's.
You're not comparing yourself to those two.
Benzema's always been a good player, but he's only been the last couple of seasons, I suppose, since Ronaldo's gone, that he started getting those headlines and started.
That's
banging
because
more goals.
he's not playing second fiddle to Ronaldo.
No.
Everyone plays second fiddle to Ronaldo. Everyone.
Yeah. And the one thing I'll say again with Henderson is, I think this year he's looked poor for Liverpool on the basis that the whole team has looked poor, and so it's easy to point the finger at our captain on that basis. Mr. Hoof has lost the plot. Is that Luton?
Walk through a back garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Darlington are in the playoffs, are they? Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think with Henderson, again, like I said in the last chat, I think for England back at the World Cup, he came in and he made that team tick in the middle. We missed that leadership. Harry Kane, decent striker, great striker for Spurs. I although he's England's top goal scorer and whatever, I think with the current squad that we've got, I think he holds us back, and I just don't understand at all how he has that captain's armband. I don't know what.
Do you remember the Pochettino thing that happened? Remember he got injured, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, what are they going to do without Harry Kane?" They almost won the Champions League.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
Yeah,
he didn't play, and they scored loads of goals without him.
Yeah,
and they only lost the Champions League because they played him.
Yeah,
us.
Yeah, and again, I honestly think like the who was the European champions? The European Championships, we played the final against Italy.
Yeah,
we lost because we played him.
Yeah,
I just don't. We've had that conversation. Chiellini and Bonucci must have been waiting for that 11 to be named, and then gone. Get in, Harry Kane.
There's no way those two old heads are going to fall for that Harry Kane lean on you and then fall over.
Fall over.
No. They're not going to fall for that one.
And they'll love a bit of a tussle, and they bullied Harry Kane.
Absolutely.
And then the next thing you know, last 10, 15 minutes of the game, whatever it was, we end up bringing in, Saka and
Rashford to take the penalty.
And absolutely random riot for those last sort of 10, 15 minutes or whatever, mad him on the ropes. And Saka's getting dragged by his collar and because he just couldn't handle him. No. And my view was always from the start of that game was you need to play front three of, like I say, Rashford, I think it was Sancho and Saka on the basis that I think Foden was injured in that game.
Yeah.
So he couldn't play. But the front three, or Grealish, I think it was, or someone. But play a front three that's going to absolutely run those two ragged for, again, 60, 75 minutes, whatever it might be.
Well, you do it in extra time. Like they must have been on the floor. Like
but that's
and they're having to mark one player.
Yeah, but you just turn around and you say, right, lads, you youngsters, you go on, you run those old boys ragged for an hour, give it fucking everything for an hour, and then we'll bring Harry Kane on, if needs be, to finish the job. Can you see us maybe going for Kane?
I can see you probably getting Neymar. The crazy thing about Newcastle as well, and I've said this on another podcast, is they can't get top four. They just can't get top four for me. Like, we can't have a new team breaking into top four so early with owners that can just literally buy anyone they want.
You say that.
We can't have that happen.
You say that, and EK will back me on this. Who have Newcastle gone and spent silly money on?
No, I don't mean they have now.
No, but they haven't. That's what I mean.
But they can. That's the problem. They can.
They can.
And if they get top four, they may just get like a director of football come in, or they may get someone who just, in the board who goes, oh, you know what? We're in top four now. We're really close to Man City. Shall we just build a new training ground? Shall we just buy Mbappe?
But the thing is,
they can. They literally can.
The thing is,
have someone in there to do that.
The problem is, though, and EK, you let me know, but I don't think Eddie Howe's that kind of manager that will go out and buy that. Because I think Chelsea have proved it this year. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I agree as well.
Yeah.
But they could also turn around and just go, you know what, Eddie Howe, thanks for the memories. You know, we're moving on to bigger things. And then they could just go and get like Ancelotti.
Maybe.
You know, they really could, mate. It's quite scary.
They could, but why would they? Why would
because
they?
They can.
Yeah, they can, but why would they when Eddie Howe's done the job he has done, spending very little on what you'd probably say are average players?
I totally get that. No, I totally get that. But having top four is a completely different ball game. If Newcastle drop out of top four now, because they easily could, by the way, because they haven't got the experience to see out the end of the season, and history's already written that they've done it before, where they fell at the last hurdle.
Piss off your viewer, Chris.
Huh?
You're going to piss off your viewer. They're going
no. You know, they can or they can't. You know, it's just the way it is. But
I like Eddie Howe as manager.
Where's my train of thought?
I like Eddie.
But the fact that they're in top four, but the fact that if they drop out of top four, we might be able to go and get Bruno Guimaraes, like, because we might be able to offer them top four. You know, they now have Champions League, which means they can go and get anyone they want. And the project is, well, we're in Champions League and we're going to compete for the league next season.
Thing is,
and we were in a cup final, so we're competing in cup final.
That thing is, though, they're another city. They can do that. They're Chelsea have proved they can do it. They've done it, and what good's it done them? I think the problem with, again, conversation I had the other day on the way back from the airport with a Chelsea fan in the car. I said they had a great side. They had a great side, a good chemistry. They needed to buy maybe a midfielder and a couple of decent strikers. If they'd spent 300 million on three players,
they need a central defender. They need a central defender massively.
Well, Thiago's been doing a decent job, and who's the other guy alongside him?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Newcastle.
No, Chelsea.
Sorry.
Chelsea have had.
They needed a striker.
They needed two strikers, I think.
One in the middle.
Yeah, not Aubameyang, and they needed two strikers. And instead, they've gone and bought themselves a shitload of midfielders and wingers, and then had to extend their bloody changing room to accommodate them all.
About 25 central defenders that they didn't need.
But I think if they'd spent that couple of 100 million on three players to add to the squad, I think they'd be up there challenging for top four, because they needed a tweak. That's all they needed. They needed a tweak to the squad. They didn't need a whole new squad. But going back to Newcastle, I think Newcastle. I like the fact that Eddie Howe is an English manager. He's done really, really well, having not actually brought anyone significant.
Really helps a lot of managers moving forward, by the way.
Yeah.
English managers. He really does. Like,
but I think he's done really, really well on, I would say, not having brought anybody really of.
You definitely need a left back. Newcastle definitely need a left back. Like, Dan Bair's not even a left back.
Neither a striker. Yeah. But again, like I say, I think you're naming 4 or 5 players. I think the problem being, though, you do those 4 or 5 players and you can potentially unbalance the team again.
I think they're all. I think as well. I think Newcastle are shopping in the same club. I think they're after like 3 players from Bayer Leverkusen, and Xabi Alonso's now gone on this massive revival run with them, where he could possibly get into Champions League. He could possibly win a cup as well in the is it Europa League or Europa Conference?
Yeah, I think it's that one. West Ham.
The conference one.
Yeah, I think it's one West Ham are in.
Yeah, so he could potentially win that, and I don't know whether you're going to get those players, because you're after Bakker, who's a left back. You're after Diaby, who's I think he's a right winger or a left winger.
The thing is, though, domestically in that German league, they're never going to win anything. So it's whether or not these guys want to be part of something like what Newcastle can potentially create. And EK, like I say, for yourself, if you go out and buy 5 or 6 players, are you not concerned it's going to like unbalance the side? I say because I think you've got a really good squad at the moment. I say a couple of tweaks here, a bit of support, backup players maybe, but in terms of maybe about 8 or 9 players leaving.
They've got loads of players that are still hanging around. Like I think you've still got like oh God, who's that centre back, the Irish lad? Have you still got him? You've still got that Marquinhos who played for us. What was his name? The Spanish right back.
Yeah, we saw Marquinhos, but he's not a bad player.
Got him. I think they've still got him. I think you still got John Joe Shelby, haven't you?
No, John Joe Shelby's.
I think that was only a loan, wasn't it?
Did he go on Forest?
Yeah, was that a loan?
Oh, I don't know. Forest bought about 30 players, didn't they?
Yeah, that's insane. I wouldn't mind Kayla Navas, as our sub-keeper. They've got Karius.
Yeah, Karius.
He actually played all right in the final. To give him,
mate. I said this before. That's another player that I feel really, really sorry for, Karius, because leading up to that Champions League final, he was brilliant.
He was good.
It was really, really, really good for us.
Just had a howler. I think he had concussion. We said that, didn't we? We think he had concussion.
He just didn't seem himself. And again, like I say, you can come up with.
I don't think those rules were in place though, then, were they? The concussion rules. I don't think they were.
No.
They were. No,
I think that's off the back of that game. I think there's a lot of talk.
Wasn't that also the game where Mo Salah got floored? So we got another player that got injured.
Yeah. And he got
he got done with his shoulder, and Karius got kneed in the face, I think, or
elbow. He got kneed in the face, and then Ramos dragged Salah down.
Mate, they're just dark arts, like.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I'm surprised they didn't beat City.
Mate, I'll be honest. Did you watch the first half?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised City didn't go in about 3 or 4 up. They were.
Mate, they had the possession.
25 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, but they had the possession. But Real Madrid had like 4 really good chances.
Real Madrid always had chances. I'd say that who's the guy that tears us up? Is it that he scored their first goal? I think it was, or created their first goal.
Vinicius.
Yeah, Junior. Whatever.
Insane.
That guy is ridiculous. But yeah,
he had Trent on toast like for 2 games.
Yeah, but again, it's those kind of games where, in theory, you look back now and value of hindsight. Like I say, you've got, well, like we said earlier, you've got a person that is not a right back, playing right back, getting absolutely skinned by probably the best left midfielder in the world at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is. He's the best. He's the best young player. He's the best young player in the world right now by country mile. Like, he's insane.
Yeah. Never seen a guy have a bad game either. Like I say, I hate it when we're playing because I know full well every single game.
He plays every single minute as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's been playing for like, I don't know, 4 years or something. I mean, I think they signed him when he was like 18. They signed him and Rodrigo, who's the other guy on the other side.
Yeah.
Like, mate, that's what we should have done. Like, we should really be doing what they do, signing young players, blooding them in, and then having like these 2 incredible South American prospects being world class on either side, which have cost you buttons.
We'll have to do some research, Chris, about how to become scouts.
Yeah,
we'll go live in South
America.
I
wanted to talk to you actually about the new guy that we're getting in. I'm gonna share my screen so you can see. Actually, what we could do if you wanted is we could have a look at our Jude Bellingham replacement, and we can kind of discuss how he's going to integrate with the team, and also look at some of the stats between the pair of them if you want to. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Trent.
Mate, to be going back though, a comment.
Which one?
Just going back a bit, obviously with regards to, like I say, conversation we had in the last chat. I said last time that I think the reason why the chat with Bellingham has gone off the boil is because we weren't going to get top 4, we weren't going to get Champions League, we wouldn't get the money to generate his fee and his wages. Do you think if we get top 4, do you think we're back in for him?
No, they won 120 million. Like, they ain't budging, and at the end of the day, we can probably just blame Chelsea for that.
Thing is,
they paid 106 million for Enzo Fernandez, and they're just like this.
But did you see the comment the other day where he was? They reckon that he scored the weekend, like didn't he? And he's like, I'm staying put or something.
I'm staying. I mean, if he stays another year and he gets like an 80 million release clause put in his contract,
well, he goes to free if he stays a year.
No, but if he stays another year, then he might sign another contract and just put like an 80 million in there, and then they get the value, and that's also kind of what Haaland did.
Yeah,
I mean that would make a lot of sense, and then he also plays another year, and then we know how bad his knees are because his knees.
Yeah, he was strapped up heavily for that England game.
He's been strapped up for like half the season, mate. He's got fluid on his knees.
He's a 19-year-old lad. Like I say, I mean, he seems to get bigger every time you see him. He's bulking something chronic.
He scored 2 goals in his last game as well, you know.
Yeah. So, like I say, I mean, you'd like to think if he's carrying injuries, he wouldn't be playing on the basis that they wouldn't want to damage their investment. But yeah, like I say, that England game, his knee was strapped heavily, and that myself, I sort of looked. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a concern. But again, his injury record itself is like I say, is not bad at all. So, like I say, it's not as if he's missing games.
No. I think he'll probably get like the fluid drained off his knees at the end of the season, but it's obviously not. It's obviously the strapping. Obviously, must be helping him. EK there just basically naming a midfield that I want, but that's not going to happen. At this rate, we'll probably get 1, maybe 2. You probably got more chance of getting them than us.
The thing is,
we ain't going to buy Kone as well. We might get McAllister and a Garth. Like that is a definite possibility because McAllister, there's rumours that Keller is getting thrown in the deal to reduce it to 60 million because they want 80. But also, I've read a few things that we've actually asked about Caicedo, trying to take both of them for 130 million plus Keller, and they get Milner as well.
Thing is, Milner's on a free anyway, so
I know, but I think, mate, imagine having Caicedo and McAllister in midfield for us. That's just plug and play. It is literally plug and play.
Those two and Trent.
Literally plug and play. Like they know exactly how to play with each other. You just go
and give Trent that free roll in there like he's doing at the moment.
Oh man, that is
let them do what they like, and then let him do what he like, or let them do what they do best, and let Trent do what he likes, and job done.
And then you got Curtis Jones, and then you got Stefan Bajcetic, which you don't have to play all the time.
Yeah.
But then you've got those extra players, and Fabinho. Like
the thing is, I worry though is that Bajcetic this year was ridiculous when he came in, and the one thing I worry about is if you bring in established first team players, that then Bajcetic, his progression will.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. We just play him properly. We play him. We play him in the Europa League or the Champions League games, the early stages, and we play him against we've got 5 subs. Like I don't get. We've got 5 subs, and Klopp uses 3, and then brings 2 on in the last 5 minutes.
The only thing when you saying that, when you look at how he played this season when he came in, I think he's too good to be a bit part player.
I thought he was better than Thiago. Seriously, I thought he was better than Thiago when he came in on that left.
And I say, and the amount of fight in him, the strength, and the way he was holding players off and winning tackles.
He's just not. I just really hope that he doesn't get played as a DM because he's not a DM.
Sorry, dog's out now as well.
Yeah. He's not a DM. I hope he doesn't get played as a DM.
No, it's yeah. As I say, I think it's going to be interesting seeing how he develops and seeing how. Well, there's nothing to say that he's not. You know what I mean? He's got that creativity to be going forward, that box to box kind of player. But having said that, the way he was putting himself around a bit at 18, if he can bulk up and get bigger, get stronger, and then be putting himself around a bit, and then be spraying the ball that he was, you got a ridiculous player on your hands.
Didn't he make his debut when he was 17?
Something like that, yeah.
like he was that young. Got chucked in the Premier League when you're 17. Crack on, mate.
Yeah,
that's insane. Ramsey's back as well. Yeah, that's a good point. That.
What's
actually, that? EK said Ramsey's back in training.
Yeah,
he's back in training now. That'd be interesting to see how he gets in. So let's have a look at Trent then and Bellingham, because obviously Trent's going to be our new Bellingham. So this is a site called 1+1, where you 1 versus 1, where you just basically put the two players in and it does comparisons.
Yeah.
So overall rated, Trent got 92% compared to Bellingham. So Bellingham's high, but Trent's obviously higher.
What's this on? Is it based over how many games, or?
So this is based over everything that they've done in their career.
Okay.
So Trent is. Hang on, I'm going to have to move us out of the way.
I'm going to have to get my reading glasses on. This how old I'll get, man.
While I work on this, hang on. Okay, so Trent's in the top 2% in the Premier League with passes into the final third, which is mental.
Bear in mind, everyone's been criticising him and saying how bad.
Bear in mind, this is like probably his worst season ever.
Yeah. I think it was you that sent me through something the other day on WhatsApp when you looked at that. There it is. It was yourself. It said since the 9th of April, assists in the Premier League. Since the 9th of April, assists first. Chances created first. Passes into opponent's half first. Penalty area entries first. Possession won first. Touches first.
Crazy, isn't it?
Based on that, I know it's a month's worth of stats, but how can you criticize? Let's say, I mean, okay, you might be able to argue whether or not he's the best right back in the country to be playing for England when you've got James and you've got Kyle Walker and yada yada yada. But
he's more reliable, like as in he's fit. Like he's always fit.
But now on those kind of stats, playing in centre midfield, does he become a first choice centre midfielder ahead of what's his name? Phillips that isn't playing.
100%.
Phillips that isn't playing.
He should.
Rice, who
he has to be
in the process of fighting out a relegation battle.
He has to be in that conversation. He has to be in that conversation. Like he just has to. And we're going to look at this anyway now, which is probably going to answer that conversation anyway. So he's number 2 in passes in the final third. He's number 2 in crosses. He loses the ball a lot, but he obviously loses the ball a lot because he's trying things where
I think that bit will become from his defensive bit, where
you're probably right. You're probably right.
A little bit.
He's top 10 in one touch passes, and he's top 10 in assists. So then, if we look at Bellingham, see, these are huge, mate. Look, 1% in the safety. I don't know what the safety index is, but he's 1% in aerial duels. So he wins a lot of balls in the air. He wins a lot of tackles, which Trent doesn't, which is weird.
Yeah.
1% in tackles, top 5 big chances. So he's in the higher stage of same with Trent for losing the ball. he dribbles, and he also passes in the final third. So what's Trent like in the final third? Doesn't say that for him, which is interesting.
Again, I don't think he's really a dribbler, though, is he?
No. I'm just
we're just
looking
the
at.
ball. Like I say, I remember when I was growing up playing football, it was all about let the ball do the work. The old Liverpool pass and move, let do the old Liverpool groove, and that seems to have been passed by the wayside now. And it's like all the best players in the world seem to be the ones that want to get the ball at their feet and take every man and his dog on.
I mean, that's really interesting. Have you seen that bit there? Pass completion over 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Bellingham's better than Trent. I mean,
but
so he's really involved.
He's really involved
in key passes as Trent, but he's really involved in the game. And Trent wins 34%. It's not a lot, to be honest. 46%. I don't think that's really a lot either, if I'm honest. Obviously, XG's to do with goals, but this bit's interesting about playmaking now. So Trent's on 4. Hang on, is Trent blue? Double check. Yeah, Trent's blue. So 4 assists. Obviously, it's not up to date. 18 key passes.
It'd be interesting if this isn't up to date. Then the other stats I don't think will be up to date, and it's been these last few games where he's really come into his own. So it'd be interesting how that.
Let me just refresh it. Playmaking. No. Oh, that's a shame. That I thought it would be.
Is there any dates above that when it's live from?
No, it's just no. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, because I think that'd be key. Because it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Actually, we should probably look at that.
Really.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Have you seen that bit? Go back up. What's your opinion? Who is better? Oh, is that you put that in?
No.
No.
So 88,000 votes have voted for Trent.
This must be a Liverpool website.
Yeah. Everyone's voted for Trent.
Bellingham's going to get a vote somewhere along the line.
Yeah, of course he will. Anyway, all right. So that's not really that good. What I looked at then because of that.
Interesting when that was updated though, because I think that could. I think stats would be heavily swayed based on the way Trent's
playing. I think you're right. I think they would be. We'll have a look at this another time. I might need to register, to be honest. Something else I wanted to talk about as well is what's he put there? Yeah, I don't blame you, to be honest. I also wanted to talk about the director of football and all of the mystery about whether he's signing for 3 months or 3 years. Because if he's signing for 3 years, then him and Klopp both end their contracts at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Which is really concerning, because that means we don't have a director of football to bring the new manager in. It means we'll start with a new manager and a new director of football at the same time, unless obviously Klopp signs a new contract, or we get rid of our director of football like in the middle of his contract. But I wanted to look at this guy, okay, because this guy's interesting, by the way. So here he is here. He's never worked with Klopp. Do you know that? So a lot of people say that he's worked with Klopp before.
Okay.
He hasn't. They've never crossed paths. So he was at Aachen and he did really, really well with them, by the way. He got them into, I think he got them into like the Europa League, which is like an incredible job. But he was the manager. And also sporting directors are different than our sporting directors.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like a Michael Edwards who no one ever sees, no one ever knows about really. And he just goes about and like signs loads of players and kind of makes things happen.
Yeah.
Sporting directors in Germany work alongside the coach and they're public facing, which means they do interviews and they get heavily involved in the team. So he won't be doing that kind of job for us. So this is like a change for him as well.
Okay.
So he's used to doing more work with the club than we're going to be having him do, because that's not what our directors of football do. No, I agree, EK, and I'm going through this now. So I'm actually going through this now. So we're going to cover him in a bit more detail, which kind of poo-poos a lot of the shit that the media are saying about him.
Yeah, I think we need a sporting director that won't take any shit either, because I think some of the guys we've had in the past, don't get me wrong, they made some good decisions with regards to signings, but again, I think some of the signings that have seemed to slip through the net at times for no other reason than I just don't think we're ballsy enough.
Well, I'm gonna cover this a bit more now. So obviously he's done some good sporting director jobs. So he went from Aachen to Hanover, and he spent quite a bit of time in Hanover. He spent like 3 years with Hanover, and then he went to Cologne, and he was with Cologne for quite a while, and then he went to Wolfsburg. Now, the Wolfsburg one was interesting because of some of the players he signed for Wolfsburg, but he also sold Victor Osimhen to Napoli. Do you know that?
How is he?
Yeah, he sold Victor Osimhen. He didn't sign him, but he sold him, and he sold him for like, I think it was like 2 million. What a signing he was! Anyway, I think the interesting thing about it is, and people aren't talking about this, is he's not a director of football that's good enough for a Premier League team who's challenging. I'm sorry, he's just not. Okay, I can understand like he's done a good job, but he's actually not in a job right now, and he hasn't been in a job for since the start of the year. So he's been out of work since the start of the year. Okay, he's also best mates with Klopp, by the way. Like, he talks about Klopp a lot, and Klopp talks about him, and they have done in the past. So Klopp's now signing basically another yes man, and that happened with Arsene Wenger, by the way. He got all the people he wanted, and they all just said yes. And how high do you want me to jump? Okay, he may be a great director of football, okay, and he may do really well, okay. However, I don't think he's going to challenge Klopp, okay, because Klopp's given him a dream job, because there's no way on earth he should be in the Liverpool job. We should be shopping at the top of the table. We should be taking Brighton's director of football, or RB Salzburg's director of football, or Leipzig's director of football, or Benfica's. You know what I mean? We should be going for the best, or Monaco's. We should be going for the best of the best, really. That's what we should be doing. However,
there's some of these directors of football, though, they can. Is it them as the director of football? Is it their scouting, or is it the scouting team these clubs have? You look at the way that Ajax run, and like I say, with Benfica of recent years, with some of the players that they brought through, and then they've sold, and the fees that they've got for them.
Yeah, but John, we were that good in like 2008, 2017 up to like 2021. The teams literally said, right, we're going to copy Liverpool. Liverpool are the blueprint. We're going to do what Liverpool do. Benfica did it. Sporting did it. Brighton did it. Southampton started to do it. Bournemouth started to do it, and they started to do what we did. Like, they copied us. We were the blueprint, and loads of teams went, hang on a minute, this is the way things should be done. We should be using analytics. We should be using data-driven statistics to sign players, and everybody copied us, and then we just stopped. We just decided we're not doing it no more.
The problem being, I wouldn't go as far as saying stopped. I think there is there's always an argument in terms of why fix something that isn't broken. But I think the problem being is this year it got smashed. It didn't just break. I think the team got smashed. And confidence, if anything else, has just been on his ass.
Well, I would say, I would even say the last player that we signed, for me, who was data driven, was Naby Keita. Naby Keita, everything that he did the seasons before we signed him, he was the player that we needed. 100%. Like, I know you don't want me to say his name, but 100%. Like, he didn't have an injury record. He scored loads of goals. He was a machine in midfield. He was right on that trajectory where, you know what, we're going to give you 50 million because we want him that much. And he's going to make our team so much better. And you can keep him for a year. And that was the right thing to do at the time because the stats on that guy were insane. I think he scored like 17 goals in his last year. Yeah. He was at Leipzig, by the way, in case people don't remember. He was at RB Leipzig.
I agree. But again, hasn't worked.
And we haven't done it since. I don't think we've done it since. I don't think Konate was a data-driven guy because Konate wasn't even playing in the first team. It was Upamecano. Konate was injured for loads of time out before we signed. I mean, he's been a brilliant sign, no doubt. Like, but he wasn't. I don't think he was data.
No,
I think he might have just been one of them that's like, there's a lot of players sniffing around him. He's from Leipzig. We've already done our homework on Leipzig.
I tell you what, I think
we spotted him when we were looking at Naby Keita.
I'll be honest. I think the last person that I would say that was based on data, I think was probably Jota. Because
I don't know, Jota wasn't a goal machine either.
He was
and started scoring more goals.
If you do your bit and you look at,
he was also injured a lot as well, you know.
But if you look at Jota's stats before, in that last season before he joined us, and you look at Mane's stats at Southampton, literally identical.
That's a good point, actually. I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
And it was literally that you could.
They were both on the same trajectory.
Yeah, it was literally you couldn't put. I don't know. You couldn't. Yeah, you could hardly divide the two. It was literally the same amount of minutes, the same amount of goals, the same amount of assists, the same amount. It was literally the identical player. And when you look and you go, okay, I need a player to be brought in that's going to do this for a similar role. Because again, I said it before.
He came in and scored like 12 goals in his first season or something.
Yeah.
Didn't he? He did exactly what Mane did when he came in. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one.
This is another thing I was saying to somebody the other day. It's like everyone's saying obviously this year how much of a massive miss obviously Mane's been for us this year, and I've said, like, my opinion, Jota has been just as big of a miss. Let me have a little look. So Sadio Mane, and you look at last season's stats.
I think Diaz has been a bigger miss than Jota, by the way.
Yeah,
I think Diaz was, you know, that Arsenal game that he got injured.
Yeah.
I honestly think he was going on to have another great season.
Oh, absolutely. I think
he scored like 5 goals as well, didn't he? Before he got injured. So he was scoring as well.
Yeah. But like I say, the season 21-22, last season, obviously Jota, Mane. So Jota had 35 appearances compared to Mane's 34. But when you then go down to actual matches and you look at minutes played, Jota actually only played 2,372 minutes when Mane played 2,800 and 20 odd. So in theory, what's that? 5 extra games in terms of 5 extra 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So although that's Jota basically coming in as a bit part player, doing some appearances here and there. When you look at goals, 21-22. So Jota, 15 goals, 4 assists. Mane, 16 goals, 2 assists. So you look at that and you go, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
So in theory, Mane actually played 5 extra games, scored one extra goal and actually got 2 less assists.
We had this conversation anyway, where personally, Mane should have been sold the year before we sold him at full price. Like, we could have got double, maybe even more for Mane then. And Jota was the guy to go in and replace him. We already had him. Like, we already had the guy there.
The thing for me, the only thing that I think masks the whole Mane signing, and makes people question why we sold, not signing, the selling of him, and then makes people question why we sold him and all the rest of it. For one, he wanted to go anyway. He wanted to leave. He was being offered silly money at Munich, and wanted a new challenge, whatever it might be.
He's got to feed his country, hasn't he, or his town?
Yeah, they need a couple of new hospitals or schools.
They need
So he wanted to go regardless. But last season, leading up to AFCON, Salah, amazing. Mane, absolute dog shit. All of a sudden, they come back from AFCON, and it's like they've gone
other way around.
Yeah, Salah couldn't hit a barn door.
And then Mane was dragging us
on fire for those last 6 months is that season, or whatever it is, 4 or 5 months.
And the weird thing about that as well is 2 things happened. One of them was Mane said he was going. Yeah. And Salah said he wanted a new contract.
Yeah.
And then Salah basically hung his boots up until he got a new contract.
The thing is, you could basically see the issue.
It was so obvious. I mean, you could see it on the pitch.
Yeah. Salah would never, ever come off the pitch. Mane's getting subbed off and he's throwing a water bottle, stropping.
Mane scoring, Salah's not, and Mane gets hooked.
Yeah.
It's weird. The thing about it as well, and like I've had this conversation before as well on other podcasts. Everybody kicked off about Salah getting this pay rise. You pay the best money to the player that delivers. But not only that, he plays every single game. If anyone deserves more pay than anyone else, it's the guy that plays more than anyone else. And he never shirks, and he gets on with it all the time. Like, I really hope he never comes off penalties.
No, and I think we had that conversation before. What do we do? Do we continue with him and the rest of it? And you go, well, he is your first choice penalty taker.
I mean, we could do an entire show. We could do an entire show on Salah, just how fucking good he is. Like, the guy is just incredible. I mean, he's overtook Fowler, who was a central striker. For one thing, he's about to overtake Stevie G because he's on the same amount of goals as Stevie G. He's going to overtake Stevie G by the end of the season.
We think again. I mean, he's
another 30 goals.
Yeah, that's the thing.
5 years in a row, mate. Like, I mean,
he's not been great this season at times, but I think that's because the whole team's not been great, and he's still scored 30.
He's not been great this season because he's been played as a fucking linesman for most of it, which is just ridiculous. Like I told you that crazy stat, didn't I? And if anyone's in the chat now, this is legitimate. You pass the ball to Salah 50 times in a game, we win. That is it. Like, you don't need any other tactic. Just give the ball to Salah 50 times and Liverpool win every game. We have never, ever not won a game that Salah hasn't had the ball 50 times plus. It's incredible. And that is a real stat that's been there since he signed for the club. Whoever found that stat out is a genius. But there you go. Just give the fucking ball to Salah more and you win a game. Like, it's that simple.
The only thing I find with that, though, again, is that I think that can be.
He's got like 100. I think he's got like 168 goals, is it, or 58 goals? Maybe 158 goals and like 76 assists I mean, you don't get many strikers that get that many assists either, because he creates so much for other people. Like I think Nunes would be on 30 goals this season if he wasn't so shit at shooting, because Salah has created so many big chances for him.
Again, going back to your comment earlier, I wouldn't put my house on it, but I think this time next year.
Yeah, I said that already.
You would have got 600. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that.
There is a machine. We pay 90 million for him every day. Yeah.
He's priceless. Sorry.
I honestly think, and my missus wouldn't let me put the house on it, but I'll put a Mackie D's on it. I honestly think we'll be sitting in next year, and Nunes is on 20 odd goals. I honestly think
I think he's a sub. I think he's a sub next year.
No, I can't see it. I honestly think we'll be sitting in next year, and I think Nunes will have 20 plus goals next season.
I think Gakpo is just. I just think Gakpo works. He's a really functional player that can work in a system. Nunes is just. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I can't work out the Nunes thing. The Nunes thing's kind of derailed our whole season. Like, he was a big signing. We don't do big signings. Like that was just crap. And then he all got like put next to Haaland, which meant that we had Man City people that were like going on about it. All the media were going on about it. We don't need that kind of heat.
The thing is with him being outside. Yeah, I think he's being put up against Haaland is because when you look at their stats from the previous season, they were very similar.
It's not his fault, though. It's really not his fault. But also, like, Klopp just hasn't helped him. Like, he really hasn't. It's like, where did you play really well? Where did you score 36 goals last season for, mate? Centre forward. Okay, then we're going to play you on the left.
Why left? I think the problem being, though, and it goes back to, do you remember when we signed Fabinho and who do we play? We signed two players.
Fabinho was a right back, by the way, when we signed him.
Yeah, but we signed him from Monaco.
Brazilian right back he was.
And I think we signed somebody else around the same sort of time. I can't remember who it was. But I remember sitting there and I think we had a conversation at the time saying, why we spent all this money and we're not playing these lads? And over a period of time, Klopp slowly integrated them into the team to the point where
Fabinho took like 8 months before he started playing. Yeah. Like he cost like 58 million or something, and we're I think
that's play. Yeah, but I think that's the problem with Nunes. If you read all the chats, read all the forums, the guy can't speak a word of English.
He's looked worse, mate. The more he trains, the worse he looks.
But the guy cannot speak a word of English, and Thiago has to get involved and do the translations.
I get that.
And I honestly Darwin, not Darwin, Diaz.
Diaz is.
Yeah,
Nunes ain't getting in front of Diaz.
No, yeah, you got not.
Never happening.
Yeah, I think you got
better. Diaz has looked better, like 20% fit. I think anyone has on that side of the pitch this season.
I think you've got Jota and Diaz on the left. I think you've got Gakpo and
Jota for me should never be playing on the left. Jota should be playing down the centre. I just do not understand why Jota isn't our centre forward. Like, we didn't need to get Gakpo. We didn't need to get Nunes. We just didn't. We had Jota. Like,
we had to a certain extent because Jota's been injured.
He wasn't injured when we at the start of the season.
No, when we signed Gakpo.
Injured in pre-season. Did he get injured in pre-season?
No, he got injured.
It wasn't pre-season, so we had him fit.
No, he was. He got injured just before the World Cup, didn't he? And then he came back during over Christmas. And
he got injured the game before the World Cup, before they went to the World Cup.
And then he came back from injury whilst they were all over it. Well, he was training I think he got back into training while everyone was at the World Cup and then got injured again or something, didn't they? And that's why we went in for Gakpo in January. But that was the thing that concerned me at the time, that Jota's injury was worse than what they actually thought, or Diaz's injury was worse than what they actually thought. That's why we went in for.
But I also think that we should probably sell Jota. Like, I really do, because for me, he's had too many injuries. Like, I think he's only played like half of his games that he can for Liverpool. I think that stat's about right. Maybe 56% of the games he's played.
When you look at like I said earlier, mate, you look at the stats last season. He played what he played in 35 of the 38 games.
He was injured at the start of the season as well, by the way. So he was injured.
What, this season?
No, last season as well. He had like 3 months out.
I mean, he still played 35 out of 38 games last season.
I know, but he always has about 3 months out every season. Like, that's just standard Jota.
But you can't have you can't have 3 months out and only miss 3 games. The math don't work.
No, I didn't say that. No, I said every year.
Yeah.
Like, regularly, he normally has about 3 months out injured out of a season. So he's always injured every season.
But when you look at the stats for last year, he played in 35 games.
Yeah, that's like half the games then. Because like Hendo played like 62, didn't he?
This is in the league. So he played 35 games in the league.
Oh, so he missed the start of this. So he missed quite a few of the games at the start of the season then. That was really
again. You only play 38 games in a season, so you can only.
Are you sure he played 30? Are you sure?
Yeah. Looking at the Premier League, 35 games he played out of 38.
What was the season before then? Maybe it was the season before. Maybe I'm mixed up.
2021. He played 19, but then wasn't he? Didn't we sign him in the January? He was at Wolves.
Oh, I don't know then. All right, maybe that's wrong then. Sorry. Take that one back.
19, 34 games.
Anyway, what I will go on to as well is, this is really interesting, which I don't know whether people have actually clicked onto this. This might be the reason why we're getting George schmacked.
George Schmack.
Okay, check this out. Okay, so this is the Wolfsburg team. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Wolfsburg team that he used to be the director of football of. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was with them for a couple of years and he left them at the start of the season.
Yeah.
You'd be really interested to know who their goalkeeper is. Oh, hang on. Where's the goalkeeper? Oh, he's left them. Oh, he's not even there now. Oh, okay. So their goalkeeper that's not with them anymore is a guy called Ziegler. Have you heard of him?
Ziegler? No.
Yeah, so he's a guy called Ziegler who's out of contract now. Actually, he's on a free transfer. And he's the goalkeeper we're linked with. He used to play for Man United.
Oh, okay.
So he's a homegrown guy.
Yeah.
So I actually thought he was still with Wolfsburg, but he's left them now. So he's not even on their. He's not even in their squad.
Yeah.
I mean, he might still be with their team.
You only got
They've got 5 goalkeepers there.
Yeah.
They've got 5 goalies, and there's only 4 listed. Pretty sure that guy might be Ziegler. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Ziegler is the keeper that we're linked with on a free transfer as the number 2 for Ali, and he used to play for Judge at Wolfsburg. So I was thinking, well, is that the reason why we're getting him? So we can get that goalie because we're linked with him. But also, he's got some good players, you know. We've been linked with this guy before. Mickey van der Ven. Have you heard of him? So he's a Dutch international. He's supposed to be like the next Van Dijk.
Oh, okay.
And he's in the national team. We've been linked with him before. Also, Maxime Lacroix.
Mm-hmm.
He's I think he's like 22. I think he's going to be like a big French international in the future. We've also been linked with him in the past as well. So they've got some good players that he signed. I mean, this guy's insane. He's a German international.
Yeah.
Ryder Baku. He's and he's either right or left sided, but he is a serious player. And also, this guy as well. He was a big signing for him. Matthias Spanberg. He's like 24 now. He's I think he's Swedish. He's also a big player as well that he got, and I rate this guy here, Jonas Wind.
Okay.
He's
My nan's name was Jonas. She had a fair bit of wind.
Yeah. So he's a good player as well. Like that.
I think the last thing we need to be looking at is a forward. So
no. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, but yeah,
it'd be interesting because I say a lot of these directors of football and they do start sort of delving into their old clubs, don't they?
They do, mate. They do.
Nico Kovac in there. He's
their manager.
He's ex Premier League, isn't he? And Robert Kovac, brothers.
I think he was he West Ham?
I think so.
He didn't last long though, I don't think.
And then typical.
He doesn't look German.
I was gonna say typical German name, Aaron Briggs.
How did he sneak in?
Oh.
I think. Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, some of the signings he's made. Remember this guy, Wout Weghorst.
I don't understand, and again, I say if there's any Man United fans on there,
these are some of the players he signed. Some of the best players he signed.
People are interested to see what guys think if United fans are on it about the whole getting rid of.
That's him, Ron. Oh, okay. Sorry, he signed him for Hanover, so that was one of his clubs. But Ron Robert Ziegler, that's the guy we're looking at getting on a free. He signed him, Lars Strindl. These are all old players now. He signed Baron Druff. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Shite. Modeste. Yeah, he's not really signed anyone that good, if I'm honest, like out of here. But then you've got the players that are at Wolfsburg that he has got in.
The thing is, ultimately, you got to think what. Although they're not big names, is it a big name for a club the size of Wolfsburg? I mean, Wolfsburg have made quite. I don't really follow too much German football, but they've made quite a ripple in the German league, haven't they? They've done really, really well recent again by not spending a great deal of money.
Yeah, that's what he's good at.
Yeah, buying sensibly, which in the past is what Liverpool have done really well. So maybe that's where again going back to the analytics part. Maybe that's where that signing comes in, or him coming in as director of football comes based on analytics and making good of with very little to.
Wow, do you want to know who used to play for Wolfsburg in 2019? Sorry, 2018.
Who's that?
Divock Origi.
How did he?
Yeah.
How did he go on loan?
Yeah, he went on loan from us.
Yeah.
To them.
I see something today saying again he's another one. They obviously there's rumours that Mane wants to come back, and then there's rumours that Origi wants to come back.
Oh God!
Go.
Victor Osimhen went from Wolfsburg to Napoli for €1 million in 2018. Blimey, what a signing he was! That's mental. He's worth like 80-90 million now. Like crazy. Yeah, Mickey van der Ven is 22 years old. He's rated at €18 million, and Ryder Baku's 25.
Yeah.
He's rated at €13 million. and then you got Svanberg, who they signed from Bologna. He's 15 million euros. He's 24. He's Swedish. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Just thought I'd give you a little bit of a.
It'd be interesting. Again, I mean, you might be able to pull out another Robbo out of the mix, and a Coutinho somewhere along the line. Again, you pick these players up for 8-9 million. You sit there and you go, why? And then next thing you know, even like Milner on a free. I said in the last chat, I was the first one to stuck my hand up and I was like, well, why the can we sign in Milner? What's he going to do? What's he going to add to the team? He's been brilliant, and I still think we should give him another season.
God, what a player he was. Zeko. He used to play for Wolfsburg.
Yeah. Did you see he scored last night?
Yeah, and
37.
And Sebastian Bentner, he was really good as well. Didn't he play for Arsenal, Bentner?
Oh, no, that was a different Bentner.
Yeah, he Oh, thanks, EK. Thanks, mate. Yeah. What was I going to say? What did you say? Sorry, what did you say?
Bentner, wasn't it? It was Nicholas Bentner, the Dutch guy. Was it
Danish? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Can't remember.
You're right.
But again, a little bit like Origi, stepped up, scored some big goals in some big games, but then 90% of the time he was dog shit.
Yeah. So what do you think of Xabi Alonso then?
Again, mate, you can't argue with the stats. He's doing very well on very
little.
In
the league, by the way. They're sixth in the league, but they're 6, 7, 8 points off fifth. So
yeah,
I can't see them being able to get Champions League.
No, but when you look at obviously what he's done it with and the squad he's got, done very, very well, very, very well. Again, it's a little bit like the whole like a Brighton scenario. They got no big names really in the team, but they're producing form and taking some big scalps along the way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, doing very, very well. It'd be interesting. What happens because not many of recent. There's not many ex-players that have been able to sort of make that transition into management successfully. So,
so they got beat by Roma in the first leg of the semi-finals.
Yeah,
1-0. So that's going to be tough. I mean, they got beat away, so they've got the home game. But they also got beat in their last home game in their league as well, which is the first defeat that he's had.
Yeah,
which was against Cologne, which kind of put them out of contention to get into the Champions League. But yeah, he's since he took charge, he drew with Freiburg, won against Hertha Berlin, won against Werder Bremen, won against Munich, won against Schalke, won against Frankfurt, drew against Wolfsburg, won against Leipzig, drew against Berlin, and then obviously lost against Cologne. And they've got Stuttgart, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Bochum. They could probably win all of them. But if I was him, I'd probably just try and beat Roma now, to just go all out to try and get that.
You go, so you might as well.
Yeah, but everyone's like talking about like I hate the way the LFC fans do that. Like as soon as like an ex-player does well, it's like, oh, he's going to be the next replacement. He's going to be like Steven Gerrard's going to be the next replacement for Klopp. Like, you know, Xabi Alonso is going to be the next replacement for Klopp. Just give him a couple of years. Fucking hell, calm down.
Yeah. The thing is, what I would have loved to have seen with regards to Gerrard, I would have loved to have continued because he was under 23s or under 20s he done or under 18s or something for us.
Under 18s.
I would have loved to have seen him just stayed at the club. And don't get me wrong, he went off and done some good things at Rangers. You can't fault him again. The Scottish League, maybe.
Didn't he? This is the thing about Rangers. This is the thing about Rangers. Didn't he get them promoted and then won the league in the following season.
I think he was promoted, then a season, then won a season. I think.
Yeah. So he spent 3 years there, did he, or 3 seasons?
Yeah. But I just wish he'd stayed at Liverpool under Klopp, under 18s, taking those through up into under 20s, and taking those players through under 23s. And I say maybe spend sort of 4 or 5 years learning the ropes, sitting under a manager like Klopp, and he knows Liverpool inside out, and there's no doubt about that. And I would have loved to have seen him just develop himself within the club as a manager.
You've got to read this. You got to read that.
So Stephen Shee was schooled in Scotland.
Hey, look, EK. Like, I hated Rodgers in his last season, but I still think he's a good manager. But the last season at Liverpool was just toxic. Like, when he did that TV show, it was like he had an alter ego. Like I remember watching. Do you remember this when he did that TV show, and he had that really big wife? Like, his wife was like 30 stone. She was massive. He was massive. And he like introduced her, and he's like stood there next to her and all of this. And then I remember when he was talking, there was a painting on the wall in his hall of him. Not of him and his wife, of him.
It's something like you expect to see like in Henry VIII, isn't it?
And I was like, oh my God, the ego on you. And then he got that Porsche. He got that Porsche, like that Porsche 4x4 by Liverpool. Like, the manager gets like a Porsche, a Cayenne or whatever they're called.
Cayenne.
Yeah. So he was driving around in this Porsche doing like We Are Liverpool or whatever it was called, the TV series. And then he obviously went back to his house. And then halfway through the season, he got like a separation from this woman, from his wife. And then he got like this young blonde upgrade, like, in, and then she was with him, and you're like, what the is going on here? Like, literally, this is like a soap opera. And then he did the envelopes thing in the changing rooms, and that was it. Like, when he's doing the envelopes to like Raheem Sterling and Henderson and Gerrard, you're just like, yeah, you're dead, mate.
Yeah, done. Anyway, buddy, on that note,
bringing in Balotelli was weird.
Balotelli was weird.
I think bringing in Ricky Lambert was even weirder, but yeah.
Again, like I say, Balotelli, I'll be honest, I actually got a little bit excited when we brought him in, because
Balotelli had done really well. Like, he won the league with Man City.
He was class, but again, he's another one with that massive fucking ego. And by all accounts, he had an entourage to bring along with him. And just
Balotelli's still playing, I think.
Yeah, like third tier of
Italian football, still smashing it.
French football. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think he only came at the Italian international team about 2 years ago or something. Like, he was still getting caps like a couple of years ago. He's not.
Like I say,
he's been missing for us a long time, but he was still doing quite well.
I think the problem being, it's a little bit like Pogba, all the talent in the world, but like I say, when your ego is bigger than your talent, you're screwed.
All the talent, no brain cells. Like that. That's exactly how I feel Núñez might be. But there you go. That's another. Mate, that's another conversation for another show.
I honestly think Núñez will be class for us. The only thing that worries me is how we're gonna keep Salah, Gakpo, Diaz, Jota.
One of them's got to go.
Núñez.
One of them's got to go.
Harvey Elliott.
Carvalho.
How are you going to keep basically 7? And then you still got Cade Gordon as well, who's there.
Ben Doak.
No, mate, he looked ridiculous when he came on those few games last season. And again, that's why I put him in my team last time we spoke. I'd love to see him sort of come through and do his bit, because he looked like the only player that could actually get his head down and go past players with a ball at his feet this season when he played those couple of games.
Yeah.
And I think he will be a ridiculous player. And I think when you look at it and you go, maybe going back to what you said earlier with regards to Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's a massive Liverpool fan, and that's what I love, the fact that he's a massive Liverpool fan. Family's a massive Liverpool fan. And the fact he's now playing for his boyhood club.
Where does a £40 million player play? And how many games does he get? He's worth 40 million quid. Like, I'm sorry. Like, even Fabio Carvalho, like, you're going to get 25 million for him. Like, that's 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. That's 65 million. That buys you Alexis McAllister. Like, that buys you a player that's going to score 10 goals a season and he's going to dominate midfield. He's the guy we need. We need Alexis McAllister in our midfield. Like, he is.
You got two fringe players.
Jordan Henderson 2.0 replacement. Like, with a bit of Gini Wijnaldum thrown in the mix.
Yeah.
He is absolutely sensational. Like, I've been banging a drum about him anyway for about 2 years. I also think maybe a year, 2 years time, when he's like 26, 27, he could be a captain. He's captain material.
I look at it and you go, okay, in that Argentina side, you have McAllister.
No, he was the player behind Messi.
Yeah.
That's how good he was.
But the thing is, in that midfield, you had McAllister and Enzo Fernandez. And when you look at it now, and you look at
who was the better player? Who was the player that won in the World Cup?
Yeah, but you go, okay, is McAllister the one sitting there pulling the strings? And I say, there's so many players in the past that have...
He scored 10 goals this season.
Yeah, but again,
he scored 5 penalties. He still scored 10 goals. And he might have scored the most important penalty against Man United.
Yeah, but again, like I said, that conversation we had when Van Dijk first came to Liverpool, you sit there and go, even Lovren looks like a decent player next to him. So
can you imagine how good Curtis Jones is going to look next to McAllister?
Yeah, and Trent.
Mate, Trent. You know what annoys me the most? What could have been if we played Trent? Could we have 3 Premier Leagues? Could we have a couple more Champions Leagues? Because we've got our own Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, but
we've got Kevin De Bruyne in our team, and he's in the place where Kevin De Bruyne plays.
Yeah, the only thing is, I'd say with that is that obviously he's created so much from right back in the previous seasons.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine what he would have created from centre midfield?
Value hindsight. The thing is, it's one of those things. Maybe now is the right time for him to step up and make that move into midfield. Maybe if he'd done it previously, maybe it would have been too soon. Who knows?
Mate, okay. Look at the stats he's doing now in a shit team.
Value hindsight.
The stats he's doing in a shit team. Can you imagine the stats he's doing when we've got Bobby, Salah, Mane, Ginny,
your dog's excited, at least.
Fab, all firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, the stats he would be pulling out?
It is scary. Like, when you look at that last year,
okay, so you got Henderson that does that flip ball to the back post. Every single time he does that little flick to the back post.
Yeah.
The amount of times he's done that and it's been overhit or it's been underhit, and we've not got that player to head it in. Can you imagine if that was just Trent? How many goals we'd have got if that was just Trent instead of Hendo doing it?
The only thing with that, though, I know what you're saying, but is that Henderson's fault for continuing to play that ball, or is it the forward's fault for not being on the end of it?
Okay. It's all right.
No. The only thing I'd say, go back, the only thing I'd say is, bear in mind Henderson does do that ball, and don't get me wrong, I love that little clip ball he does. I say floats it in from the right hand side to the far left post. and he does it at least once or twice every single game. And you're right.
What if that was Trent?
But
what if that was Trent for the last?
Yeah,
okay, so how long have we?
Bear in mind, but bear in mind, Henderson does that ball every single game. Should the forwards be anticipating that more so than they do?
But that depends on when Henderson plays it. Like Henderson just does it. Like Henderson does a lot of stuff that he shouldn't really do, but it's just Henderson.
I know
what you mean, but I'm just saying, if you took him out and you put Trent there for the last 6 years, just doing that, how many more?
I don't know. It's value of hindsight, right? It's all hypothetical.
I don't think it's hypothetical though, because Trent's numbers. And because we know that Trent can do that, like he can literally do everything that we say Trent can do. Okay. It's not a case of hypothetically, would he be able to do that? He would be able to do that. That's easy for Trent.
We've only seen the last 6 games of him playing in midfield. Could he have done that last year? Could you? Yeah, no. I would love to imagine it.
In a crap team. Team who's not playing well, who's only got really one forward that's firing. That's how good Trent's been. A whole season with all the others.
You say one forward that's firing.
I'm so angry that we just didn't do it.
You say one forward that's the only one forward that's firing, but again, since
Salah's been scoring really.
But again, in these last few weeks, obviously Diaz has got a few, Nunez has got a few. Jota's got a few, Gakpo's got a few, so they are wading in now. But I think, like I say, it's because there's a little bit more creativity coming through from the midfield. The football's looking a little bit more fluid. There's a bit of confidence back in the team. I'll be honest, but I'm going to have to go.
Because Trent's got the ball more than anyone else.
Yeah. I'm not doubting that. And like I say,
you got to go. You got to go.
Yeah, I have in a minute. Yeah, like I say, I'm a massive Trent fan. Always have been, always will be. And at certain times when you've seen teams sort of say, "Oh, we should sell him," or not fear teams, but fans say, "Oh, we should sell him, cash him in, and go for this," and you go, "Why? Why would you sell one of the best passers of a football?" It's ridiculous. You might get 60, 70 million for him, but you're not going to get somebody that can ping a ball the way he can for that kind of money.
But if we were going to play Trent as a right back in that position where he wasn't affecting the game anymore, and he was getting rinsed every game, then I was on the boat of, well, you cash in on that asset because Joe Gomez can do a better job.
Yeah, if you're going to play him there,
now that you've gone, you know what, I might get the sack. I might get the sack if I carry on playing this shit. So if Klopp's going to be stubborn and keep him in that position where it's clearly not working, then so I suppose to say that you're right. If you're going to change it up and utilize him in an area which is beneficial to everybody, including him, including the team, then you keep hold of him, and you save yourself. Well, like you say, you're comparing him then to Bellingham, and you're saving yourself 130 million. Literally.
Yeah.
And if there's a possibility of us being able to spend that Jude Bellingham money, and obviously getting rid of Keller as well. I know Keller's a great goalkeeper, but he's only played 8 games in the Premier League, and we could get 20 million for him. Then
the same thing with him.
You literally take plug and play Caicedo, McAllister out of Brighton, and just plug them into our midfield.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Caicedo can play right back. That's how good he is.
I've seen that a weekend.
Yeah, I've seen him right back. I was like, really?
But... And he was brilliant. And he also played quite a lot in midfield. So maybe he was doing like an inverted.
Never know. Mate,
it's been great.
I'm seriously going to have to go, though. I got my missus came in a minute ago and sort of gave me a bit of funny looks. So, are you still chatting?
Mate, appreciate it, mate. It's been great. And thanks everyone who's tuned in.
Cheers, guys.
K-Mack's Football Chat. And if you like and subscribe, and I'll also have more guests in the next couple of weeks, and I'll obviously get you on again, John, because there's so much we need to talk about still. All right, bud. Take care, mate.
If anybody's watching it, if anybody watching it wants to get involved and have a bit of a threesome going on, then yeah.
What I'll do is when I get you on the next show, I'll put the link to the actual chat room in there so people can jump in.
Cool.
I've had people jump in before, but we had so much to talk about Liverpool, so
yeah,
I didn't really want to get everyone in. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, man. Cool. I'll leave you to it.
Good chatting to you, mate. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.